See that guy walking around the corner right there? He can be yours for $10.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Cloud.
And this is We Watch This week's movie is Body of Lies. Body of Lies is a 2008 action drama thriller spy film directed by Ridley Scott. How about a plot synopsis?
A lot of twisted shit goes down in the Middle East. They're after some kind of major terrorist boss, trying to use a whole bunch of connections and intel. They befriend some guy who's really powerful out in Jordan, but being as powerful as he is, he does not like being twisted around and used, which is what they attempt to do.
Don't lie to me.
And in doing so, he uses them in return, causing what was the main character's name? Like, did they ever say it? Ferris, because I keep thinking, oh, Buddy, but like Ferris ends up getting his face smashed and his fingers broken, and they're yay close to actually capturing him, and then wham, right there at the bad guy, the dude shows up from Jordan, and he's just like, hey, yeah, you're under arrest, come with me. And then, you'd think he would get to live happily ever after, or at least something similar to it. And then he almost does. And then, of course, Russell Crowe's character makes that threat. And it doesn't even sound like a real threat. It just sounds like, yeah, well, watch your back there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's office and all that. And he's like, nope, I've got a girl in the Middle East, so I'm going to stay here. And then he's buying fruit and stuff, and they're watching him from a drone, and he's like, nope, on his own. Heck with him.
Yep.
Does he really get his face smashed in? Does that deserve to be ahead of his fingers are broken? Because they take a hammer to those.
Well, it's we get to see him scream and shit, but, they focus a lot, right there on his face, and it's we don't really get to see him, just hammered in the face, but they show us more, hammered in the face, but they show us more of that aftermath than they did, the hand.
Well, they keep cutting back to the bloody, broken, smashed fingers, though.
But that's before anything else happens to him. I mean, he's there on the table. They smash two of his fingers. And then the guy walks off.
All two of his fingers.
All -1. But then, the guy, he walks off.
If you have -1 fingers, for sure, talk to your doctor.
Yeah. I mean, and stay away from grenades. Stay away from them grenades there, buddy.
Yeah.
Shit. I was right there. I was just thinking about it. Okay. He walks off, and then we don't really see too much of what happens to him, other than the big wrestling, and then throwing him on the table because we're gonna stab him in the stomach as an offering or some shit. and then everybody gets shot. But when he's in the hospital, yeah, they bandage his hand up, but his face is just fucked.
Yeah, but your face will heal. Smashed fingers, that's serious business. Heal. Not well. He's never going to move those fingers again.
He just might.
A table to the face and a hammer to the fingers are not in the same league.
No, but from what they want to show us.
Mm-hmm.
From what they want to show us.
Well, and Ridley Scott wants to show us a pretty fair bit, considering the sort of limited amount of violence that actually has the opportunity to take place based on the story, because people get shot in this. And, blood goes everywhere. And, I mean, it's not a Resident Evil movie or anything, but it's, I guess it's supposed to be fairly realistic. I mean, this is sort of the Ridley Scott directs a military movie, and the last time he did that was Black Hawk Down, based on a true story. And it's this is based on a novel by a guy named David Ignatius, which is a pretty sweet name.
Yeah, man, that name is sweet.
It's not based on true events like Black Hawk Down is. Now, this movie is pretty, convoluted and over the top and like clearly anti-Iraq war, which I think is not necessarily an unreasonable thing to be. But it does have, in at least one of its speeches, a thing that's still much more topical than the rest of the sort of vague terrorism fight stuff that goes on in it. And it's pretty far towards the beginning because they actually, it's really, really early because Russell Crowe's character gives a speech both to his computer and then to some unidentified politician about that they aren't using technology to communicate anymore.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the argument that nobody is currently making amid all the "but shouldn't Apple decrypt the iPhone for crime" thing that's going on, or actually was going on until it suddenly went away and they said, oh, we hired some guys from Israel. But then like the day that it went quiet, Apple like quietly pushed an update out to all the iPhones that did some unspecified thing to the OS. So take that as you will. But it's exactly that, like encryption. We can't have encryption because then they'll talk to each other and we won't be able to uncrack the iPhones and know like what we can do to solve the crimes and prevent the terrorism. But it's like, well, you realize we could like handwrite letters to each other in codes, or we could talk to each other in person and we can bomb everything and no one will know. And they make exactly that point in this.
I like letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great.
We look forward to your letters. Yeah, and those are great.
Those are great. Yeah.
So there's my political rant for probably not the entirety of this intensely political movie, but the main political rant. Because otherwise, then it veers off into like sort of not that impressive espionage story cliches. And I'm pretty sure if I read this now, I will say this movie, the first time I watched it, which is the only other time, but besides the time that I watched it just prior to recording this, my friend Jonathan described it as the most like reading a book that a movie based on a book has ever been as a viewing experience. Which I agreed with at the time, but now feel has been superseded by the movie version of Ender's Game. But it does sort of feel like that. But I feel like if I read this book, I would have been like, what is this? Like, this is dumb and cliched. But, because it kind of is. And for all its attempts to be topical, it also invents, like, a fictional terrorism boss guy instead of saying, and fictional organization rather than saying, oh, it's Al-Qaeda and bin Laden. It's like some made up thing we made up, which is weird because it's not like, I guess maybe you might be afraid that if you represent the enemy in your movie as Al-Qaeda, that they'll attack you, that they might attack you. But still, it seems like, couldn't you, if you want to be all topical and heavy and, like issues in movie form, use the actual names of organizations. It's not a big point, but it's a point. One thing I did like is I like Russell Crowe's sort of detachment from the business of working for the CIA. That he's always just wearing his headset, which is a wired headset because Bluetooth is easy to intercept if you intercept the signal at the moment of pairing before it's an encrypted signal. So I like that as a touch. But he's picking up his kids from soccer practice and whatever, and he's talking to him, whatever Leo's character in Iraq or whatever it is.
Bud.
Yeah, or Ferris. And now, his actual credited character name is Roger Ferris, but I thought he was making some Ferris Bueller joke for a pretty good piece of it, because nobody else ever called him by his name except him, and he was always dismissive and making quippy type remarks. But he's like eating cereal early in the morning, and it's like he's so I liked the sort of, well, we're at war, but it's over there, so whatever. I don't need to go to the office for this. And of course, every now and then they are in front of the giant curved projection screen of what the drone sees, and they say things like "enhance the zoom," which is unfortunate, but
very.
But I did like the detachment of him as a character. And the Russell Crowe thing, which may be unfortunate depending on your opinion of this movie, but he gained like 50 pounds of weight to play this character.
Yeah, it's like, because he was large enough that it took me a minute to realize that's who it was. And then it was like, oh, wow, that is Russell Crowe. He got fat.
Uh-huh. And he spent several months working with a coach on I think it's supposed to be from Georgia, the state, not the Middle Eastern country, accent that he has. And there's a line in it where he says,
back with your little Jordanian piece of poontang that you think I don't know about, but I do.
Apparently the word
piece of poontang
was very difficult to get in the accent. Because remember, Russell Crowe is Australian. He has an Australian accent. And that was the word, apparently, that was the most difficult for him to get right in the actual pronunciation, the way someone from Georgia would say it. And he was worried about saying it in when they did the actual take that was the one that ended up in the movie.
Well, one of the things I noticed is, like, where is Ferris from? Did it say where he was from?
It never says where Russell Crowe's character from is either, but he's supposed to be from Georgia, I think. I'm not actually sure where. He's America somewhere. He's got a vaguely Southern accent also. Well,
I was going to say, that was the thing, is like there'd be certain times where he'd be speaking and he would go like extreme Southern. And
yeah.
And I don't know if he was trying to like fake it, because most of that happened whenever he was having that downtime with the nurse and her family and the nephews and all that. And, like, that was where it was most predominant, because he wasn't speaking harshly. He was just kind of talking. And then it was like major slang and, what y'all doing?
Yeah.
What?
But Leo was born in Los Angeles, so he has an entirely neutral accent. So it's easier for him to sound like whatever he needs to than it is for Australian Russell Crowe to sound like he's from Georgia.
The extremely underwhelming tech hacker computer playing character.
Yeah, how do we know he's a hacker? Because he has a laptop cannon of a table. That's how.
Yeah, like, and it's just like the dude who's running like that side of the mission, and he goes, "I got ninjas in waiting," and I saw no ninjas, so I'm very impressed. If I saw ninjas, I would be upset with that.
Yeah. What kind of terrible ninjas are those? If you see that they let you see them.
And how many times did that one guy go, "Never lie to me"?
Oh, the Jordanian intelligence guy. A fair bit of times.
Like, that's like
apparently not enough times. But I mean, the poster says "Trust no one, deceive everyone." So we know everyone's going to get lied to, whether they ask not to be nicely or not. So.
Yeah. Like, the movie is called Body of Lies.
It is called Body of Lies. They've got RPGs.
About time someone had RPGs.
Yeah. I mean, they're not bazookas, but
well, I thought the terrorist people had the RPGs.
Yeah, the terrorists have RPGs. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we needed RPGs. Like, you know how easy it would have been if they would have just pulled out one of the RPGs from the back of the car when they were trying to get away, and then just shot those fuckers. Like it was like, no.
Yeah, they take forever to pull out the RPGs.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, we could have, like, we're already shooting at them. Let's shoot at them with something better. But then we wouldn't have that awesome chopper scene that we had to pay tons of money to film for.
Yeah, I mean, it takes forever for the air support to show up also, so. Yep. I guess maybe they didn't want to waste the RPGs on just firing it at a Nissan. Although they do hit the Nissan and they miss the helicopters.
Yeah. Okay, tell me about Manchester. Like, how big of a city is Manchester?
I don't know. I think, so far as I know, being as American and not having as little knowledge of England as I do, I picture it as a suburb of London, but that's probably entirely false. I know they have a soccer team called or football team named Manchester United. That's about as much as I know about Manchester.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing somebody.
Manchesterians?
Yeah, maybe. That's actually kind of cool. Like, I'm Manchesterian. Like, that's a mouthful.
Manchester. I don't know.
Well,
I have to struggle really hard not to say Manchurian, but I don't think they're the Manchesterian candidate. So,
but they set off a bomb in Manchester.
They do, which the estimate of the casualties are in the triple digits. So take that, dozens of casualties. Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's like, and then it's like on the news, and I'm just like, wow, that's like the worst thing ever. Like triple digits.
It turns out to actually be something like, what does he say, like 70 something?
Yeah.
We actually hear Russell Crowe's character tell him is the amount that actually died, but still.
Well, see, there's that one, and then there's like I guess it's the fake explosion that the Americans do.
Well, it's a real explosion, but I think they evacuated the base first.
Well,
yeah.
They were talking about like dead bodies or something, and like,
well, the news was, but then they hedge it. They say, but we'll probably never get the full list of casualties for some reason that we actually don't hear.
Well, because I thought that they were talking about having like corpses prepared. Yeah. And they're like, okay, we need to have like fake bodies there, so we're going to use these already dead, these corpses that are being prepared, and we're going to throw them in there, and like those are going to be the bodies that got caught in the explosion.
Yeah, well, it's the war in the Middle East. There's probably plenty of bodies available.
Oh yeah, if you need one, we can get you one.
Yeah,
see that guy walking around the corner right there? He can be yours for $10. That's pretty cheap.
Uh-huh.
I don't like Russell Crowe's character because he's a douche nozzle, but I like his character in the way that he performs. That's something I could see him like maybe not winning an award for it, but definitely getting like,
oh, you like his acting? Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's like, oh, best supporting actor of 2008, Body of Lies, Russell Crowe. Myrrh.
Yeah. I don't think he was.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for the guy who didn't want to blow himself up.
Yeah,
and
well,
and it's just like, well, you should have thought of that beforehand.
Yeah, he probably should have. But then he gets shot in the head.
He does, and that was like a waste shot. That wasn't even like, oh, let me like prepare and aim and get a bead on him. Like, no, that's like pull a gun out, kind of cover it up, and then like take a shot and hit him like perfect in the head.
Well, he's trained for this kind of thing.
From the waist. That's crazy. Like, that's some damn good shooting.
Yeah, he shoots from the hip. Well, he doesn't completely cover it because they do see a flash on the drone camera. Apparently, although nothing comes of it, but
and I guess he was the friend, but like the friend that died whenever the car got hit with the RPG round. And then like he had to pull like
bone fragments.
Like
bone shrapnel. Yeah. That's something.
That's fucking crazy. But he keeps a shard of it in like his matchbox.
Yeah, and that never comes back.
Yeah, and that kind of I was a little disappointed with that, as I was hoping that they would bring something back to that. It's like I have to make an emotional decision here, and then like I pull out my matches to like light something, and then there's the bone fragment of my friend who died in that explosion. Yeah,
or he's like out in the desert somewhere and he buries the matchbox in a grave because the CIA was like, we don't know who he is. What are we doing? Doing what for whose family after he gets killed? But then there's none of that. He sort of puts it in the matchbox, and then that's the end of that.
Yeah. Now, that makes me wonder if there was like something about that in the book that they just didn't put in the movie.
There probably is. Apparently, there's like the Leo character gets like raped by the girl character. It's like the nurse at some point in the book. That's not in the movie.
That's odd.
Yeah. Although some people have defended it as being involuntary seduction rather than rape. But that's kind of semantic.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
because it's not like because people are uncomfortable saying woman raped man. So they say, well, she just seduced him and he didn't really want to be seduced. It's not really rape.
It's like, he had too many drinks in him and didn't know. Like, at this point. No, okay, so they make a point of saying that he lost his wife. Like, his wife and them are divorcing. And they make, like, 3 passes of it in the movie. And then the second trip that he goes to the hospital for the shots, like, that's when he doesn't have the ring. And then she makes note of it.
Yeah.
And I guess this is also something else in the book because they don't really take it much further than that.
No, they don't spend any time on it. We get like a frantic call from the lawyer while he's in the middle of like negotiation with a drone overhead, and then the ring is gone, and that's pretty much all.
Yep. No.
Which seems to be becoming a theme. There's like, oh, we focus on this as if it's a really important, heavy emotional moment for a period of time, and then forget it ever happened and never resolve that story thread. Which is kind of a problem, because there's a lot of that, and the movie is pretty long.
Oh, yeah. Like, what, 2 hours, 20 minutes?
Yeah. I think like 8 minutes of its credits, but still. Actually, it's probably not that long. It's probably like 6 minutes. When Independence Day came out, it had 11 minutes of credits, which was the longest credits of any movie ever up till that time. It has since been much surpassed.
Okay, I've got a note here about him being bitten by dogs.
Yep. Because they bring knives to a knife fight, and then dogs bring themselves to the fight.
Yeah. Because he gets in that scuffle with the guy, he just stabs him to death, he tries to get away, he gets bitten by the dogs.
He stabs him to death. Like, he just keeps stabbing him.
He pre-prison stabbed that guy.
Yeah.
He prison stabbed him. But whenever he's there getting his shots, and he's like, oh, you know, snowboarding caused this, and glass caused this, and like they don't ever mention the dogs other than like rabies shots.
Yeah, he's still getting rabies shots, but he never admits to being attacked by dogs.
And
unless he did to the doctor, because maybe he did, because the doctor has already been in the room with him for some time before we enter the scene. Yeah. And then the nurse is just doing what the chart says or what the doctor said. But yeah, snowboards don't have rabies.
Snowboards don't have rabies. His hands are cut, but I don't remember
that was from the glass, because there was like broken glass on the top of the wall so that people wouldn't climb over it, but he did it anyway.
Yeah. Okay. That one got me.
Glass doesn't have rabies either.
Nope.
How does he even know? He's like, I got attacked by diseased dogs. He's like on the phone complaining about it to the friend guy so that he will come and take him to the hospital. It's like, how do you know they were diseased? They could have just been, unless all dogs in Iraq are diseased, which maybe.
I mean, at this point, if I was bitten by a dog in Iraq, I wouldn't take my chances with it being a healthy dog.
I guess not.
Nope, these 2 dogs look pretty mangy to me.
Mange is a different thing.
A mangy.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Yeah, but dogs are mangy because they suffer from mange, which is not rabies. Probably if a dog has mange, it's probably got rabies. It might even have
diabetes,
because they can get that, you know.
Now, there's something here that I'm not sure of, because it's been forever and a day since I've watched Poseidon. You know, like the remake. And was Russell Crowe in Poseidon?
Maybe. I don't know.
Because he makes the comment about watching Poseidon on the plane, and I wondered if that was like...
Oh, it's like an inside thing?
Like an insider joke, where it's like, oh, I'm Russell Crowe talking about watching Poseidon, which I was in. You know, something like that. I don't know. But I have that as a note, because when I heard him say it, it seemed too obvious to be anything else.
I wouldn't think so, because that wasn't that big a movie, was it? Well, that was directed by Wolfgang Peterson. Let's see, Kurt Russell. No, I don't see him in it. It came out in 2006, so it's about the right amount of time to have become an airplane movie, so maybe they were just trying to be realistic.
All right. Another one would be the hotel room was 316.
Yeah.
Which is like a very overused Bible verse reference number.
Yeah, I don't know if that was deliberate or not. If it was, they didn't make any play of it.
Nope. But then again, there's a lot of things in this movie that they use and then discard.
Yeah, but they didn't even use that at all. Because with the way the rest of this movie is, whenever they want to have a message moment, he probably would have asked for the hotel room, and the guy would have been like, "What number is it?" And he would have been like 316, and there would have been like a moment, and it wasn't. I don't mean to disrespect Ridley Scott or anything, but there's a lot of heavy like message type stuff in this. I thought that in particular, that he gets the key for the room. He gets that. He doesn't provide any identification or anything. He just walks up and says a room number and receives a key.
Yep. Like we're prepared.
He and then he climbs out over the balcony into the other guy's room. As easy as that was to get the key, he probably could have asked for that guy's room key and gotten it.
Well, I've been thinking about it because, he gets to the hotel. We don't know if there was prior reservations or if he had been there earlier or what, because they were doing all this plan. But I want to know his motivation for continuously wanting to do this, because that previous conflict they had, and then like all that shit happened, and then it's just like, now I'm back in the States. Like at that, I would have just been like, nope, I'm done. Nope. If you're going to keep doing this shit to me, I'm done. I'm not going to help you out.
Yeah,
because he
doesn't
got
have
out of Jordan.
Any real motivation.
Yeah, it's just like things are being done for untold reasons. And like, I can understand whenever they have like, but the girl moment.
Yeah, he's already met the girl at that point, but he can go back to Jordan and get the girl. He doesn't have to keep working for the CIA to do that.
Exactly. So like this whole thing that they're just continuously pouring the stuff on, so he gets by the dog. His mama has nice things now.
Oh yeah, even a television set.
Yeah, a refrigerator. Now that was clever. That's probably the only thing in this movie that they used and then came back to it, because like that was the guy that they did the thing for the mom.
Yeah,
and it's just like, remember who's done this for you, and then. Like, there he is at the end of the movie, and it's like, yep, because I put it in there, and I did this, and I did that, and,
And all this, and all that.
And then the Jordanians show up, and, Al-Qaeda terrorists are getting shot, and...
Yeah, or what are they, Al-Sham or some business? Yeah. Because they're not what are they called? Something.
Insert racially incorrect term for these terrorists.
Yeah.
Yep.
This whole movie is probably racist because it's very like Republican, like war in Iraq is like heavy and things kind of point of view. And that I don't know if that comes from the book. I guess it probably does. Or if that's what Ridley Scott thinks, although that's a weird thing for him to think since he's English. But that doesn't mean he can't have opinions on world affairs, I guess. Well,
the first place that got bombed in the movie was Manchester.
It was, but that's probably from the book. Now, one of the things that I have problems with in movies is where they do where they do establishing shots of the place where the part of the movie we're in now is going to take place and use really obvious landmarks like the Washington Monument or Big Ben or the Kremlin building or something, and then still insist on putting a title card over it that tells us where we are, which negates the need for the landmark establishing shot. And in this, except for one time, the title card is always over black, and then they just get right to business and don't even bother with the showing anything that would be recognizable to anyone. Except when he gets kicked out of Jordan and ends up back in Washington, D.C., and then they do an establishing shot of they say Washington, D.C., black screen, and then fade into a shot of the Washington Monument. Which I guess is forgivable because they do it every other time they change locations, so it would be weird if they didn't. But I think they should have avoided the shot of the Washington Monument if that was what they were going to do. because it bothers me in movies. They're like, here's where you are while you look at an obvious landmark that tells you where you are. Because we don't have any confidence in you as an audience. I guess a lot of that is because movies are, nobody cares about us. They're being made for China now, and China doesn't know where stuff is, so. Or maybe they do. Maybe we should have more confidence in the Chinese audience as well. I don't know.
Maybe.
They've seen enough Transformers movies. They probably know where American cities are by now. The girls' nephews don't like the Jordanian food. Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's just like, see, you don't like your mom's cooking? No, it's bad.
How do they know any better?
Yeah.
Because they want like cheeseburgers and stuff. They live in Jordan with the mom that's like peeking out the windows to spy on Leo and the girls. So when have they ever had cheeseburgers? Rather than, I don't know, whatever they are eating. I don't know what they eat in Jordan.
Maybe they have a McDonald's in Jordan.
They probably do.
Like, I expect a McDonald's before I expect like some place that just serves spaghetti.
Yeah, the spaghetti thing is a weird thing because one kid likes hamburgers, one kid likes spaghetti, and it's like those are from very different places.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know of any fast food spaghetti places.
No.
That would be kind of cool though.
Fast food spaghetti. They probably watch American TV. They've got a television.
Yep.
It's like a flat screen even. They're watching, soccer, I guess. Maybe a Manchester United game. Who knows? But yeah, Nosy sister is nosy because she's peeking out the window at them talking about things. He really is being a pretty bad spy, letting himself get involved with a girl while he's trying to do his job. Not that that's not more important than his, CIA machinations to overthrow Iraq or wherever, but
whenever they were taking pictures of things and I could never tell whose side was taking pictures of who for what.
I don't think you're supposed to.
I mean, because it was just like, I guess that's like the good part of the spy movie is I can't tell who's spying for who.
Well, remember, it's half of the poster line. Trust no one. So.
Because I remember they were taking pictures of him and then it seemed like, oh, this isn't going to be good. And then they were taking pictures of him and then it's like they were supposed to. And so whenever his apartment, whenever that one building was on fire, I thought that was his apartment.
Yeah.
And then it's like, do you know why I showed you that building on fire? And I'm just like, wait, whose building is that? I'm confused. Like we don't hang out at his place long enough to know what his building actually looks like. So when they show us that angle and the building's on fire, how am I supposed to feel about this? It's a building on fire in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Okay, and
yes, and when Russell Crowe shows up at his apartment in Jordan.
Yeah,
and has
you scared the shit out of me.
He does look like he didn't get shot. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it takes more than a couple of bottles of wine to start speaking Babylonian.
Man, do you know how much money you'd be able to make?
Yeah.
Oh, that email pop up for the architect guy that they were using.
The pop up, it's a pop up cannon.
I haven't seen a pop up like that since they did that. They did the email scene in the old Digimon movie that they released. It's you have all the old PC hacker movies where it's that was the big thing and that's what emails looked like, and then they did it again and then that's in the Digimon movie, and then I haven't seen it since, and then I'm watching this and then it's just wow, your email traveled back in time.
I know. What OS is he using?
Yeah,
I know they're in Jordan, but for real,
Ancient. That's what he's using. Ancient. It was made 2 years ago.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for the architect guy too, because he doesn't do anything.
Yep.
He's just trying to be an architect, and then they turn him into an architect of terrorist attacks without him knowing it.
Which is actually pretty clever. I like that. He keeps saying that no one is innocent. I'm like, well, no
some
one's innocent.
people are.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, no one's innocent once you put them involved.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
I mean, no one is entirely innocent of everything. Everybody's done something of some minorness, but lots of people are innocent of terrorist attacks. Yeah, until you involve them, which they do. And all of those people on the list of people from his mosque as well. We never see anything involving them, but they use them as the leverage and the evidence of a larger organization that he's in charge of. So they're probably getting killed off too, and we just don't even spend any time with it. Yeah, none of these people, like, the hardest thing about this movie is that there's no one to like or care about except people that the movie tells us we're not supposed to care about because they're not the main characters. And it's not like Breaking Bad or something where they start out with some reason why you can be sympathetic to them and then it just escalates beyond their control. It's like all of these people suck to start with and they continue to.
Yep.
And then most of them don't get killed. And I guess we're supposed to be okay. Like, he's buying fruit, so what? I don't care. Or he's kicked out of Jordan, or his wife divorces him. I probably would have too. So, and then the girl is kidnapped, because of course she is.
Well, I don't even really know if she'd be kidnapped. It's just like, hey, kind of have to borrow you for a minute.
Well, yeah, she's borrowed, and it's presented as kidnapping for his benefit, or finger-breaking detriment. From his
finger-breaking detriment, yeah.
for the benefit of the head of Jordanian security. Yeah, which I guess, does she go along with it, or do they actually abduct her by sort of force, but just not damage the apartment in the process, and then take her blood from her donor sacks?
Who knows? She's working at a hospital. They may have had her in outside of her shift.
I guess.
And that's why he couldn't find her, is because she was at work and didn't think about it. And it's like, we're going to put a little bit of fake blood here to lead him on a trail we want him to follow. And then she was probably home afterwards anyways.
Yeah. I hope she wasn't in on it, because then there's not even any reason to like her.
Yeah.
Because otherwise she's uninvolved. But if she is involved, then she's involved, and then we can't like her either. Because she likes him and then sells him out for the head of Jordanian security for national purposes or something.
Oh. Well, overall, like, this movie isn't that bad until you just start thinking about it.
Well, but the problem is that it's so long, you start thinking about it while it's still going on.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Let's see. Oh, they actually say the line enhanced resolution. That's a problem. Let's see. Oh, I do like they circle the SUVs and stir up the dust so they can't tell which car they put him in.
Yep.
So they can't follow him with the drones. Like, that was kind of cool. Let's see. And then he gets rescued because of course he does.
Because of course he does. And
then the head of Jordanian security wears a Gordon Gekko suit. Because he's got, like, the blue shirt and the white collar and the cufflinks. And even him, like, he's got, like, I don't know if that's his wife or who it is. Like, somebody else puts his cufflinks on for him. Like, how am I supposed to like you when you can't even put your own cufflinks on? Or just choose not to, even though you could, which is actually worse. Gordon Gekko, if you don't remember, is the Michael Douglas character in Wall Street.
Ah.
He's the broker guy that, like, the rich guy that takes Charlie Sheen under his wing and then screws him over. Because, yeah, at one point, Charlie Sheen wasn't on the drug called Charlie Sheen and winning. He was in, like, a real Oliver Stone movie.
Tiger Blood.
Man, we lost a bunch of people in their coolness, like, right at the same time. Like, we lost Charlie Sheen, we lost Tiger Woods. Like, it was a heavy time during the late 2010s, or the mid 2010s, rather. Let's see, based on a novel. Fake terrorism is fake. Although, is it?
I'm not really sure. I guess it depends on how you're going to view it. Like, terrorism is bad, but if it's like fake terrorism.
Yeah, but you still blew up something.
Yeah.
The public still was frightened, so I mean, probably the CIA is conducting terrorism anyway. Yeah. The CIA, man, they're running ISIS, man. They probably are. And in this movie, they are.
Yeah.
Although at this point, it was still fake Al-Qaeda rather than fake ISIS.
Yep. You actually work for us.
One of us.
I'm CIA. I didn't even know it.
So how do we feel about stars?
Man, I don't know. Like, I want to give the movie a 4-star rating until I start thinking about it, and then I give it a 3-star rating. Because the movie is definitely entertaining until you think about what's going on in the movie, and then it kind of falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm going to just leave it at 3, because I still enjoyed watching it. And I'll still tell people, it's like, hey, you should go watch it. There's some really good acting in it. The action sequences were pretty cool, whenever they were chasing people down and, like stuff happens and you can't always predict it, little bits like that. But then there's bullshit parts in it too. So,
yeah,
take it or leave it. But I'll give it 3 stars.
Take it or leave it. Yeah. I guess that's fair. I was kind of leaning towards 2, but I'm like, yeah, there's some good acting. There's some good action. It's kind of dumb if you kind of try to untwist the twisty parts. Yeah. But there's nothing like outrageously egregious or anything apart from, things like enhance the resolution.
Well, it's like I liked the ending part when what's his face from Jordan shows up. It's like you can tell who really cares by who shows up first, but no one really knows you here. So
yeah, there's some clever stuff like that. Yeah,
like I liked that ending, but then it's like the Office Kurt Russell making a underhanded, almost threatening line, and it's just like
Russell Crowe. You mean?
Oh, what did I say?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell, fuck.
Kurt Russell is not in this movie. No. He is in Poseidon, which is where you got it, because I said that, but he's not in this movie.
Okay, yeah. But
also has Russell in the name, but
it's just like that little bit right there, and it's just, like that I think was a bit much, and that kind of put me off.
Yeah, every now and then it is too clever by half, but also every now and then it's clever by just the right amount.
Yeah.
But also equally often it's just incomprehensible and twisty for the sake of twistiness.
Super twisty.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess 3 is fair. Well, that's all we have to say about Body of Lies. It's a body of lies. And bees. We'll see you next time.
Later.
But then he gets shot in the head.
From the waist. That's crazy. Like, that's some damn good shooting.
Yeah. He shoots from the hip. This is We